Good morning, everybody. My doors are locked, so I'm gonna take my mask off. We're gonna be doing the demo today, how we're gonna make our pinhole camera out of our quart paint can. There was a question the other day that came in through an email about a pint paint can. We can make that work. The quart can is just much better for the size piece of film that we're gonna be using. So the first step that we're gonna do is we're gonna take the top off of our can, and we're gonna grab a ruler, and we're gonna measure the height of the can. So we know our film is 4 by 5. We're gonna have to put the film in here in landscape orientation, so left to right, the long edge. It does not fit quite up and down for portrait. We can modify the film so that we can do that with it. So I'm gonna measure this can here real quick. I like to use metric, so I'm gonna use centimeters. 11.5 is the height of the can, so half of 11.5 is 5.7, and I'm gonna put a little black mark right there in the middle of that can so I know where that spot's at. The next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take an old ice pick that I grabbed out of my kitchen. I'm gonna place it right on top of that black dot. I'm gonna hold the can in place, and I'm gonna put a little hole in it, right? So that is actually just our guide hole. Now we're gonna grab the drill with a nice big drill bit in it, put it in that hole so it doesn't skate around on us, and very gently and slowly start cutting a hole into the can. This is not something you want to do really fast because it can be slightly dangerous. It can rip. So right there, I just got a nice clean hole. We're going to knock the nasty parts out. The next thing we're going to do is I've got some burrs here from the drill bit going through it. What we're going to use is a nice rasp. We're going to take those right off of the can so that they don't cause any puncture marks in our aluminum foil. And this can take a minute or two. Sometimes we have to use a pair of pliers. We want to try and get that as smooth as we can on the outside and on the inside. We'll do the same thing over here. And we will be doing it on a regular table, not on top of my light table. I'm gonna have to clean up my mess. All right, so now that we got that nice and smooth, there's no more burrs there. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get a piece of aluminum foil, and it doesn't take much. Like a 2-inch square is usually plenty. About like that. I'm gonna take the tin foil, place it on the light table or table that we're working on. Take some masking tape. We're going to put tape on all 4 sides. What we're going to do with this is we're going to take this piece of aluminum foil and tape it to the inside of our can. And this is going to be our aperture once we punch a hole in it. Gently peel that back up off the table. So we end up with piece of aluminum foil with tape on all 4 sides. Find the hole in our can, place it right over the middle of it, and gently smooth that out from the center to the outsides. And make sure that tape sticks really nice and good on all 4 sides. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but now that's taped inside of there. All right, so now the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to spray paint the inside of our can with black flat spray paint. We do this in order to keep the light waves from bouncing around in the can and creating aberrations and distortions for us, right? So when we do our spray painting, we're not gonna do it inside, and we're not gonna do it outside the door of 1530. We're actually gonna go all the way down to sculpture, out behind the sculpture room where they make all the messes. We're gonna go out there with our can and our lid, and we're gonna very carefully, outside, in the open air, spray inside the can. Now, I'm not sure how many of you have used spray paint before, but it is a process with a delicate touch. You don't wanna get too close, you don't wanna be too far away. You're gonna kind of rotate the can as you spray it. Right? We don't want to pile it up. We want a nice clean layer all the way around. It might take a couple rounds of spray paint to get everything completely covered. We're also going to spray paint the inside of the lid. Now this one I kind of pre-painted. All right, so we'll go out to the sculpture room and paint that right on up. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back from spray painting, all the way back behind the sculpture. I'm mostly dry here. I gave it a few minutes. I probably should give it a little bit more, but for the sake of this video, we're just gonna go with what I got. So as you can see on the inside now, that aluminum foil is black also, as well as the tape that we use to stick it in place. So now we need to make our aperture. Don't know how well you're gonna be able to see this, but this is a very, very, very small needle. And what I'm gonna do is carefully and gently, as straight as I possibly can, punch ever so small a hole right in the middle of that piece of aluminum foil. I'm gonna verify that it's clear by looking up, out through it, and I can see light through that pinhole. It looks just like an itty bitty pinprick or star in the night sky. So now we have to make our shutter. So we're gonna take a piece of black. This is a piece of construction paper. It's actually paper from an old sweep. And I'm gonna cut, again, about a 2" by 2" square. You notice it's kind of got a curve to it already. We're gonna use that curve to match the curve of the can. And again, with our handy dandy masking tape, place some tape on top of the piece of paper. Place that over this so that the paper is centered over the piece of aluminum foil with our small little hole in it. Then I'm gonna take the paper and I'm going to gently fold it up so that it creates a crease at the top portion. That's so that I can fold it up to make the exposure, and then when I'm done, I can fold it down, and it covers up the hole. So now, how are we gonna mount the film inside this can? Well, I have a piece of film right here. This is a dummy piece of film. It's already been exposed. You notice that it will fit inside the can, just like so. And the way we're gonna keep it stuck to the back side of the can, we're gonna take another piece of masking tape, roll it over on top of itself, and put it on the center of the back of the film. Take that piece of film and cup it gently so we don't crink it. Then we're gonna put it on the back of the can, emulsion side towards the aperture, right? Make sure that's stuck nice in place. Put that on top of the can, on top of the lid on top of the can, whichever the case may be. Now we're ready to make an exposure. Now, you might ask, how are we gonna put that film in there and know which side is which when we get into the darkroom? Because most of you know that film is sensitive to any type of light. Ortho film is not sensitive to the red spectrum of light or the orange spectrum of light, which is what we use in our darkrooms. So when we go into the darkroom, we can clamp the lights down just a little bit, and we can use this film in the light of the darkroom, which is one of the reasons that we use it. So that way you can figure out which side is the emulsion and make sure it's mounted properly in your can. All right, so this can, if it had real film in it, would be ready to go out and photograph. Okay, that's the quick demo of how to make a quart paint can pinhole camera. See you soon.